Hello everyone and welcome to an incredible game from the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam tournament currently being played in Las Vegas. This is round 2 and it's Levon Aronian versus Magnus Carlsen. Two of them have been playing each other for over 20 years now. Their first encounter was in 2004 in the Reykjavik Rapid tournament where amongst others Magnus Carlsen also faced Kasparov. And Magnus didn't do all that well in the tournament. He got almost last place. He was 15th out of the 16 players that were there. Olafsson got last place, I think. And the tournament was won by none other than Levon Aronian ahead of Garry Kasparov, who won second place. And then later on, they've played each other many, many times. For example, in 2007 in the candidates, in the FIDE championship knockout for the candidates, Levon faced Magnus in round 1, and he eliminated him first 3 games and in a draw, and then Levon won a very nice game. And they've been playing each other for, ever since 2004, basically, with Levon having the upper hand in their first clashes, but then later on, of course, Magnus having the upper hand as he does against everyone. So it's a really nice game. It features a really, really cool tactic. You guys will enjoy it. Let's see what happens. So this is the position, and it's pretty, pretty interesting. The queens being on a1 and a8 is definitely interesting, as you have to figure out a nice way how to get the queen into the game. The castle queen side, you will have to you will have to eliminate the knight and the bishop from the starting squares. Then you can castle queen side, and the castle king side, you will have to get rid of all of these pieces, and then you can castle king side. So let's see what happens. We have pawn to d4. The engine says f3, sort of the best move, or e4, f3, and then e4, but Levon goes for pawn to d4. And okay, Magnus goes for pawn to b5, and this is also one of the things that's interesting in Chess 960 is that Magnus's first move is already sort of marked as an inaccuracy by the engine, but I mean, good luck exploiting this against Magnus. We have f3, pawn to f5, fighting against pawn to e4, and knight to d3. We have knight to f6 and pawn to c3. So strengthening the center, at some point you will prepare pawn to e4. We have pawn to a5 by Magnus, knight to d2, and just a nice knight to d6, controlling the knight on d3. We have bishop to c2, knight 8 to d7, and bishop to f2. So, okay, now you've cleared these 4 pieces. It's time to castle king side. We have pawn to e5 by Magnus and d captures on e5. We have d captures and knight to c5. Levon being very annoying with his knight, but Magnus says, all right, I mean, I don't like my knight on d7 as it is. So knight captures, we have bishop captures, and bishop to e6 now. Castles kingside by Levon. We have queen to c6. Magnus finds a way to bring the queen into the game, also with tempo, attacking the bishop. But before retreating, Levon first challenges the rook, saying, okay, you should put your rook on a less active square. Rook to b7 will be a little bit weird. So rook to a8 and bishop back to f2. We have bishop to e7 by Magnus and rook b to c1. Probably preparing some a4 and b4 in the future, trying to open up the c file, as you have the queen and king on the c file. So Magnus castles king side, as you always should, and already it's move 14. We have a position that can be considered a normal one, with the exception of Levon's queen on a1. That is looking a little bit weird, so he has to figure out how to get the queen into the game, and he does so by playing pawn to a4. We have rook 8 to d8 by Magnus, putting pressure on the knight, and now a captures on b5 first. We have queen captures on b5, and bishop to d3, simply attacking Magnus's queen. We have queen to c6, and now Levon could definitely strike with pawn to b4, but he first plays queen to b1. He prepares pawn to b4, knight to d5, and now pawn to b4. Okay, so it seems like you can capture on c3, but of course, yeah, we're not even going to talk about that. We have bishop to g5 by Magnus, now attacking the knight, also pinning it, and pawn to b5. Levon grabs more space, attacking Magnus's queen on c6, queen to e8 by Magnus, and queen to b2. And Levon's position is already very, very difficult to play, as Magnus strikes with knight to e3. Now, you could maybe decide to give up the exchange, but it's very hard to imagine Magnus actually capturing the rook, having a beautiful knight on e3. So Levon captures, we have bishop captures with check, king to h1, and pawn to e4. And objectively, Magnus's position is still winning, but you still have to play it very, very precisely. We have f captures on e4, f captures, rook captures on e8 with check, queen captures on f8, and now comes rook to f1. A nice Zwischenzug, but a Zwischenzug is only a Zwischenzug if, it actually works. So this doesn't work, and there's only one move that wins the game for Magnus, and I'm pretty sure you guys are already looking at it. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Magnus while I give you a couple of seconds. Yes, of course, it is e captures on d3. Magnus sacrificed the queen, and there doesn't seem to be anything other than capturing the queen that Levon can do. You can capture on d3, but you're just down too much material. Even interestingly, if you capture on d3, even bishop captures on d2 can be played, because after you capture the queen next and rook captures, there's still no capturing the bishop due to checkmate on f1. So even if you play this, it will be two bishops and the rook versus the white queen, and of course you just don't have enough compensation. Something similar actually happened in the game. Levon first captured on f8 with check, rook captures, and now again, if you go for, well, whatever you can play, you can even play e captures on d3, just allowing this capture to prevent Magnus from gaining a pass pawn. But again, you just get the exact same position. Two bishops and a rook versus a queen. You cannot capture due to checkmate. And if you go to b1, yes, you stop checkmate, but I mean, just bishop captures, and there's there's nothing you can do here. White is just tied to the back rank, and you can start advancing the past a pawn. You already have a2 and a1 covered. So there's nothing that Levon could do here. So instead, after rook captures on f8, he goes knight f3, says, all right, let's just block the rook, and maybe if we can, play some c4, c5, b6, maybe we can get the pass pawn pushing, and, good things will happen. But Magnus says, nope, pawn to d2. And he forces Levon to give up the knight regardless, because, now, again, if queen to b1, you just start pushing the pawn, and, not much to do. So knight captures on d2. It has to be played. The passed pawn is simply much too powerful. Bishop captures on d2, and now pawn to h4. Levon simply has to waste a move in order not to get checkmated, but it will only do him so good. Rook to f1 with check, king h2, and bishop to f4 check. We have a pawn to g3, rook to f2 check, king to g1, and now bishop to e3, threatening the nastiest of discoveries, that is rook captures on e2 with check, which will win the white queen. So Levon moved the queen to a3, but again, nothing to be done here. Rook captures with a discovery. We have king to f1, and now rook to a2, and he was in this position on move 35 that Levon Aronian resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So beautifully played by Magnus, very, very active stuff here. And yeah, it's just doesn't matter that there's no opening theory. These players still are incredibly aware of everything that's happening right from the start. They put all the pawns, all the pieces on right squares. But here, when you are unguarded, by theory knowledge, it is possible to make a crucial mistake like Levon has, and then if someone takes advantage of it, then you get a nice, let's call it an immortal game like this one. So yeah, here you resign because whatever you do is simply insufficient. There's just no good square for the queen. You can play something like queen to e7, which seems like you're winning a bishop, but you're really not. Just bishop c4 check. The dark square bishop prevents the king from going kingside. Rook king e1 only move, and rook to a1 now will be checkmate with the bishops nicely covering all of the squares that the white king could retreat to. So yeah, beautifully played. If you haven't seen the round one game that Hans played, do check it out. Also, just brilliancy against Arjun, so check that out. And Magnus and Hans are playing in different groups. So if they both do well, we could see them in the knockouts. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Brilliantly played by Magnus, who also won his round one game. Levon also won his round one game against Wesley So, but now it just didn't work out against Magnus. And Yeah, again, it's hard to say. I've already talked about this in chess without openings. It's hard to really say how much of an advantage you have with the white pieces. At this level, I don't think there's any, or maybe there is. I have no idea. Also, what do you guys think about it? So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Alan Charbonneau, Seshadri Subramanian, Nick Lin, Paul Hinamund, and Ricardo Cordona Lopez for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.